Sorry, I should have had a cowbell. Right? So it's the first thing Linda said, where's our cowbell? So, sorry we do not have a microphone. I'm literally holding the microphone that's just picking up the audio for our video. But thank you, first of all, and just thank you all for coming here.
Everybody? Oh.
Sorry, I should have got it out during rehearsal. So I tried, but I had a step-in wife for a moment, for a bride there. So it wasn't like the real deal. Sorry, no offense. So thank you all for being here. I really appreciate it. You guys are all important to us. That's why you're here. Before we kick this off, I'm going to hand it off to my dad.
And how much you appreciate your dad. Yeah. And give him a sec. Okay.
Well, my duty is just to welcome you here. And my duty is to welcome you all here. We are so grateful that you could participate in this for Danny and Spencer. We want to thank the crew here at Jeans. They were great to work with. That we appreciate them so much. They were very creative in what they are going to serve to you tonight and what you've been maybe having as hors d'oeuvres. And they tried to include Iowa into the mix, and we appreciate that. We thank everyone, though, for taking the time to participate and to continue on tomorrow where the real event occurs. But I want to also thank Linda and CD, wherever he may be. Oh, there he is. They have been so kind and generous to us, and we appreciate all the kind words said to our family, and we reciprocate right back. So many of you that we have in these short 3 days we've been here, have been so kind and nice to us. We hope that we reciprocated back to each and every one of you, and we are very grateful for this event. Okay, Spencer, who gets it next?
All right. Yeah. Thank you, Dad. Appreciate that. Thank you. All right, we're gonna start off. I'm gonna hand it over to my Uncle John for our toast. So if you have a drink or a glass of water or something, please raise. Yep, starting off with you. Raise your glass.
Hello, everybody. I'm John Schumann from Iowa. Welcome you all. I just want one quick story and then I will do a toast. But, you know, Spencer has been a friend of mine. I'm his uncle, and we've been friends for forever. And the one thing that we always have done together is play golf. Okay, we're not golfers, we just play golf. But every year, at least once, sometimes more, we have an outing that is called a best shot outing, where we go out and we hit the best shot. You both hit the shot, you play the best one. And we do it with my son, who is here, actually, and Spencer, and 2 times this year, Danny. And she's joined us on this best shot. And, you know, we in a best shot, you get chances to make birdies, a pretty fair amount of them. So every time we made a birdie, we did the Three Amigos salute. And those of you, you know, we're a lot older than you, don't forget. And, you know, the Three Amigos salute sort of downplayed, you know, you do. And we did it with every.
Remember, I didn't know the movie.
Yeah, the move.
Huh?
The move.
Yeah. Well, you've now seen it though. You were there, huh? And you videotaped it. So anyway, something we've always done. But I have a toast that I've done that I wrote 40 years ago actually, and I've done it hundreds of times. So we're going to raise our glasses, and we're going to say, Here is to Danny and Spencer.
Here we go.
For as long as the stars shine above, may you find health, and wealth, and friendship, happiness and love.
But as most of y'all may have heard, my matron of honor, Amber, she just had a baby, Lillian, a month ago, but she came down with COVID today. And she was the girl that I texted when I met Spencer and said, save this text for when I marry him one day. And so she couldn't be here, and she really wanted to be here, but she's here. She is here. She's my FAMU sister. She's my best friend. But Rivers is going to take away the maid of honor, the matron of honor, kind of just to give me a speech, girl, or a toast. Go for it. Yes.
Hey,
so
y'all.
this is Rivers.
My name is Rivers. I've been a friend of Danielle's for a long time. First off, I want to say thank you so much to the Grays for having such a beautiful night and to the Smiths for tomorrow night. I'm so excited. But first off, I would just like to say I met Danielle when I was in high school. I was probably about 16. Oh, sorry. And my first impression of Danielle was like, oh my God, she is so gorgeous. Like, I'm intimidated by her. Like, truly, so taken back. But then quickly I realized that she's so down to earth and so cool and just fun to be around. And then she helped me with, I'm not a pageant girl, but I did like a high school beauty review, and I was like, I need help with walking. So she helped me with walking, and then ever since then, from 16 years old, I mean, we have just stayed tried and true, like really good friends, and I think that that says a lot about our friendship being so far away. And I just want to say thank you for being such a beautiful and loyal friend and playing such a good big sister role. And I'm so thankful that you met such a great guy, Spencer. You are just everything I could ever imagine for Danielle. And I'm so excited to celebrate y'all.
Thank you, Rivers. Thank you.
I feel like I'm speaking into like a makeup thing. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for coming out tonight and celebrating Danny and Spencer's special weekend together. I'm Tyler, his older brother.
And I'm Jenna, Spencer's little sister. And since we've both obviously known Spencer for a very long time, we could have plenty of stories that we could share with you. But instead, we really want to share with you actually one of his most infamous stories. And it's one of our family favorites. But this is going to be in the words of Grammy Kerr.
Now, Grammy was our maternal grandmother. She was definitely the matriarch and on the Kerr starry side of the family, on the maternal side. And she loved her grandchildren unconditionally. And she often kept journals of funny moments or important memories involving each of us. Now, normally, this is where I riff. Normally, maybe some of you might remember on the Kerr side, a lot of times at these rehearsal dinners, she would be the one who got up right now. And she told the story of one of her grandchildren that she wrote down 15 or 20 years ago that she'd been keeping just for this moment at a wedding rehearsal dinner.
Yeah.
Now, unfortunately, we lost her last year. But she wished she could be here, and she met Danny before she passed. But recently, we found one of her journals, and it probably would have been the story that she would have told all of you today. So we're going to tell it to you in her words.
Yes. So without further ado, this is the story of Spencer's Big Escape, which is titled, Why Parents Turn Gray.
Now, not long after Spencer celebrated his second birthday, he had his parents wondering if he'd make it to his third. Tyler, moi, almost 5, had a miserable case of chickenpox. I don't know, maybe I did, maybe I didn't, I don't know. So Lisa had taken him upstairs for a soda water bath while Spencer napped downstairs on the couch. Evidently, Spencer didn't snooze for long. In retracing his steps, Later, Lisa discovered
that he'd gotten up.
2, he'd found himself a piece of gum through the wrapper on the kitchen floor.
3, let himself out the heavy back door.
It was very heavy. Opened the side door to the garage.
And then opened the car door, which he'd never done before.
Then he climbed in the car.
Found the garage door opener, opened the garage door, and
Let himself and Sandy, our dog at the time, out into the wide, wide world.
so he headed north to where his friend Kate lived and spotted her big wheel bicycle on her porch. And so he bounced it down the steps and climbed aboard for a little drive. He headed around the corner, driving down the middle of the east-west street, about half a block north of his house, when a lady spotted him. She attempted to find out who he was, but at that age, Spencer was simply repeating most of the questions asked of him instead of answering. So, not knowing what else to do with him, she called the police.
When Lisa, his mother, answered the doorbell, Spencer was proud as punch over the hijinks he'd gotten away with. His expression was clearly saying, "Look who I found, Mom."
Lisa almost fainted with shock. She said she expected the social worker to appear at any moment to challenge her fitness as a mother. Needless to say, a whole new set of additional locks were installed up high on every door.
Not long after this event, I answered the phone, this is Grammy, answered the phone and heard Spencer's little voice on the other end. It wasn't long before Lisa's surprised voice came on. She had no idea he was on the phone, but he'd evidently hit redial button because she'd tried to call me a few minutes earlier. Guess he just wanted to visit with his Grammy. How can 2-year-olds be so smart?
So that was the story. And Danny, we are so glad that you were able to meet Grammy and Granddad before they passed. They were such role models to all 3 of us kids growing up. And I know Spencer tries to emulate them every single day.
Although Grammy and Granddad and many other loved ones aren't able to be here this weekend, we know they are watching over both of you and are celebrating you in spirit.
So, in honor of Grammy and Granddad's 70-plus years of marriage, everyone, please raise your glasses for a toast.
Spencer and Danny, may you always have a sense of adventure and be unafraid to open new doors, specifically garage doors, together.
We're so excited to be here to venture into the wide, wild world with you as Mr. and Mrs. Gray.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Yeah. All right.
And thank y'all for having us. We're all so blessed to be a part of this amazing and special weekend. We love y'all. So as Danny said, we know each other through Mississippi State's Pom Squad, and while I didn't get the opportunity to dance with her on the field,
She did not.
I did get the opportunity to dance through life with her, literally since the day we met, from each other's living rooms to Zorba's dance floors, and even metaphorically through life's ups and downs.
Yeah.
We've always been able to count on each other. To know Danny is to love her. You all know that. I mean, her laugh is infectious, and she lights up any room she enters. I mean, she is someone you want in your corner, and someone that you always want in your formation.
Ladies. Yes.
Our lifelong friendship that we started 13, 14 plus years ago is a special one. And there's a
14?
quote for our group that I think has been said at every wedding, and that is, it's from Sex and the City. It's, maybe our girlfriends are our soulmates, and guys are just the people we get to have fun with. So Spencer, thank you for loving our girl. We're so happy that she met you. You're literally the man of her dreams, and we couldn't be happier that she found someone who loves her as much as we do. So to that,
Yes.
cheers to our beautiful bride and her handsome groom,
Yay.
to Danny and Spencer. Cheers.
So, Like I said, I wanted an MC. This is my buddy Jeremy. I'm not sure what his story is, so hopefully it's good. But we met in high school at a Business Horizons camp where everybody meets their good best friend. So, Jeremy was actually like a business-minded person. He was like, I'm going to Northern Iowa. I'm going to be like getting my stuff together. I was going into my senior year of high school. I went there because my brother went there, not because I wanted to be there. And it was in my hometown, this camp where we met. So I kind of just really act like I know everything. I know where everything's at. I just kind of saw what they're doing at the camp. So I was like, I know what the fun part is. I'm going to do all that and leave all the learning stuff, because this is during the summer too. So I left that part out. So this is Jeremy Tipton. He came all the way from Cedar Rapids, Iowa. Him and his lovely wife. I got to be in their wedding 7 years ago. So it's been an honor to have him as a friend.
Thank you, Spencer. Good evening. My name is Jeremy Tipton from Cedar Rapids, Iowa. You've heard the story. Me and Spencer met at business camp, Business Horizons. I believe the year was 2004. And then I came back in 2005 as a camp counselor. And during our time in Indianola at Simpson College, we spent a week developing a product that we had to create a business presentation for.
See, he knows that stuff. I forgot that.
So Spencer was the guy that was always the jokester. He knew how to get everybody to laugh. He made the whole experience just an enjoyable time. And during the day we worked on our business presentation, and at night Spencer would take us down to the football field. We'd toss around the football. He had to show us his kicking skills and let everybody know that Spencer was a great kicker. As we went off to college, I went up to the University of Northern Iowa, where Spencer's older brother attended. And Tyler was older and was able to kind of... he was able to kind of take care of me and Spencer as we initially would come up and visit him and help us kind of transition into college and making sure that we stayed on the right path. I kind of see, during my time in college, I kind of looked up to Tyler and kind of used, and used his advice and guidance to kind of follow his footsteps on campus. And as Spencer would come to visit his brother, he'd always give me a call and say, "Hey, I'm going to be in town, and let's meet up and have dinner and see Tyler and maybe find a party." Thank you, Spencer. You were a groomsman in my wedding. Really appreciate you coming up and spending the event with us, and I appreciate having the opportunity to come back to your wedding here in Mississippi. In May of 2019, my wife Kristen and I planned to go on an Alaskan cruise. And I remember calling you, Spencer, to see if we could spend the weekend with you when the cruise is over. Spencer was excited at that time about the idea, and he was excited to introduce me to his new friend, Danny. The most memorable part of the entire trip for both me and my wife was spending the weekend with Spencer and Danny in the San Juan Islands. So if you ever have a chance to go to Seattle, forget Alaska, go visit San Juan Islands and take Spencer and Danny with you.
Yes, we will show you San Juan.
I'm excited, Spencer, you had indicated that you're going to take Danny back up to the San Juan Islands and you're going to chase the orca whales. I wish you both a wonderful marriage full of plenty of reasons to celebrate from this day forward. Everybody raise your glass.
Let's do it.
To Spencer and Danny.
I love a good cheers. I love you. Thank you.
Well, I'm supposed to tell a story on Danny. I'm not sure it's appropriate for this.
No, don't do that one.
No, we had, contextually, this was like 1991, 2, 3, that time period. And there were a bunch of I was stationed at Naval Air Station Meridian. And my daughter, who's here, she's not here right now, but she's here. And Kirsten Gambrell, who will be here too. There's 3 of the girls that played on this team, which was under 8. We're talking 6, 7 years of age. And we're coaching, and this is how I got to know CD. So contextually, it was all this, that, and the other. And ultimately, I actually coached Drew, too. So this is like years and years and years. But to Danny, and if y'all, y'all all know Danny. I mean, it was from dance to whatever activity, to whatever activity, to whatever activity. And the one story I'm going to tell on you, girl.
I'm a country girl, y'all.
One story I'm going to tell you. All right, before I do that, I'm going to give you some good stuff.
Okay.
This little group of girls, and Tommy Delaney's in here too, because we used to call them.
Our sponsor. Oh my gosh. This is
We used to call them the Steel Magnolias.
Oh my god.
And this team traveled all over the South, and where it really started was when how I got involved was I was involved with just coaching in general. Meridian wanted to start an all-girls soccer club. They had never done that before, and so they were looking for a coach. Someone heard I'd been a coach, and my degree out of college was in kinesiology, and I coached football and did all this, that, and the other, and so they brought me in. This group of girls just randomly show up in front of me, and we start looking at it, and I'm telling you, you would be shocked to hear all the talent in this. We start playing, we start beating people, and I'm telling these stories contextually because it's related to Danny.
Structure steel. Yes. Steel.
Yes.
Yes.
So, and Danny might remember I can talk. You should never have given me a microphone, Danny. But they would sit there, and I think the most poignant memory that I recall in terms of the team that Danny was a part of, and she was a major scorer. She was the forward. She played up front. She always was very active and very dedicated. She had these long ponytail. That thing would be flopping, and she'd be running and doing her thing. And we tied a boys team in Meridian, Mississippi, and the boys walked off the field crying. The parents were all mad at me. Everybody was talking and all this, that, and the other. And it was like, look, you know, we just had so much fun. All I did was tell the girls, space out, play the ball into space. And so we taught them how to play soccer. Danny was a really, really, really competitive young lady. But here's the story. I wanted to give some context because here's the story that stands out in my mind every time I think about Danielle. And mind you, Danny, again, was a superstar in playing soccer at that age, even at that age. But Linda came and dropped her off at practice. They were late. And she comes running down.
No way. No way. Wait. Linda and I were late.
Danny goes running down to the field, and all I keep hearing is, "Mama, I gotta pee. Mama, I gotta pee." And I was like, you know, you're trying to focus on the girls that are there, and Danny's running, and so I stop and turn around, and Danny just drops Jordan and pees right there in the middle of the floor. This is a true story. But at the end of the day, that family, for me and my family, were surrogate family members. CD has always been like a big brother to me. Linda, I love you to death. Danny, you, Drew, y'all are very special. Drew will tell you I'm Captain Blood.
He is. Oh.
But at the end of the day, this family is a very special part of our lives, and I'm so grateful to be here. Thank you.
Yay.
All right, I'm going to hand it off to my cousin, John's father, my other amigo. Or, sorry, John's son. Yeah, sorry. Yeah. So, Alex and I had an interesting relationship growing up. He's only a year younger than me. We grew up about 2 hours away. So we forced our parents to drive halfway all the time. Story City, Iowa. Yeah, I'm done. I'm already done. I'm already done at this point. Okay, so I'm gonna hand the mic over to my cousin Alex. I'm not sure what story. He's got a lot probably to tell. So, well, and he's currently living in New York City, so he traveled quite a way.
Hey everybody, like Spencer said, my name is Alex. Still can't? Okay, all right. Hey everybody, my name is Alex, Spencer's cousin, and we've been hanging out since we were very young. What? Okay. We've been hanging out since we were, as long as we could possibly have been hanging out. We've done a lot of comedy skits together. We were required to do them every Christmas, where we would impersonate our grandparents. He would play our grandfather, and I would play our grandmother. And, but the memory I will share, there are many of them, but the memory I'll share is with both Spencer and Danny. I live in New York, and they were coming for Tiffany's after they had won the Bumble contest. And so that was the part of the story that Danny knew, while Spencer knew that there was much more to that plan. And he called me and was like, hey, you know, we won this contest. Well, I'm also going to ask her to marry me while I'm there. And Bumble had picked out a couple of locations that they thought Spencer should do it in Central Park, which were like iconic places with the Plaza Hotel in the background and things like that. But Spencer looked at the photos and was like, I don't know. I would rather do something original and something different. And so we coordinated. He had me go around to each part of the park, take some pictures. We figured out the right spot, had me buy a rose. And then we pretended that we were going to be getting lunch or something. I don't remember exactly how we pretended. Yeah, but we pretended we were going to be getting lunch or something. And then that was and I think Danny started to pick up on it. Yeah. Yeah, because... Yeah. Yeah, so I was there pretending that I was going to be doing things. But really, I just wanted to say that I think you guys are a great fit for each other. That you're perfect together, and I want Danny to know that Spencer's obsessed with making everything original and unique for both of you. And so I just want to raise a glass to what I'm sure will be a very original adventure. Thank you.
But I'm going to hand it over to my Seattle bestie. Okay, so 2019, I move in to Seattle, and I'm on the elevator. This is totally Grey's Anatomy. Oh, are you saying it? Oh, Amy Wooten, my warrior. And yes, Amy Wooten. There you go, from Seattle.
Hi, everyone. First of all, I just want to take one quick second. I know there's been a lot of gratitude expressed, but I just want to say thank you once again to both the Gray and Smith family. You guys have raised two wonderful, amazing human beings, and I've actually been fortunate enough to know both of them since the birth of their relationship, and I will get into a little bit more of that. So, for those of you who I have not yet met, my name is Amy, and as Danny said, it literally says here in my notes, I am one of Danny's bridesmaids and also one of her Seattle besties. Danny's words, not mine. And I first met Danny in an elevator where we work in the athletic department at the University of Washington, go Dogs. And I heard this bubbly Southern accent in the corner of the elevator say, "Hey y'all!" And it was packed on this elevator, I kid you not. And it was a big elevator, like a game day size elevator. And when I turned, I saw this bright smile, confidently working this very small space with a lot of people, networking the heck out of an elevator. And she met everybody in it before we even got to the 4th floor. So before we exited the elevator, I had Danny's business card in hand. And she told me, don't be a stranger. And I literally walked off that elevator and I thought, damn, I want to be this girl's best friend. And sure enough, the rest is history of Danny and I's relationship. But she did share in that moment that she had just moved to Seattle from across the country. And I don't know about you guys, but I don't think I could do that, to move thousands and hundreds of miles away from your family and your friends and everybody here who's mostly spoken, because I think I might be the first one from Seattle. But that takes a lot of courage, takes a lot of bravery. And that's something that I learned very quickly about Danny, is that not only does she have the guts to speak up in an elevator that's completely packed and be brand new to a huge university, but that she's always going to make everyone laugh, everyone smile, and be confident. And so from that moment on, I knew that she was not only going to be my bestie, but also like family.
Yes.
So Danny and I actually ended up spending most of our free evenings and weekends together in Seattle as two single ladies on an adventure, like basically Sex and the City Seattle style. And I mean, we took that city on with class, and yes.
We were out to 3 o'clock, and we were so vulnerable, and like I was loving the city and meeting the city and dating the city, right, Amy?
Yes. Literally, it says, it's like Danny knows what I wrote. From last call at the bar to walking to miles, I kid you not, miles to my house in the snow in Seattle. And if you've ever been to Seattle, it's not equipped for snow. And to sunsets on boats in Lake Union, to starting karaoke parties at staff meetings. And she literally was my ride or die. She was my emergency contact when I ended up in urgent care. She was my +1 for parties when I did not have a +1, and always the person I could count on when it was the highest of highs and the lowest of lows. She was the first person I called when the cute guy I was talking to finally kissed me. But she was also the person I called when I needed a shoulder to cry on when I got my cancer diagnosis.
Warrior! Warrior! Yes, my warrior queen. Yes.
Danny's genuine, authentic personality never wavered in any of those moments. She constantly teaches me that life is meant to be, I'm gonna be like Spencer and cry. Thanks. She constantly teaches me that life is meant to be lived and to seize each day as an opportunity to connect with others and to help them shine. If I had to describe Danny in one word, it would be magical. She has such a gift of building others up and empowering them around her. So I've said a lot about Danny, so how does Spencer fit into this friendship? So Danny had been on a number of Bumble dates, and she'd been on there for a while, but literally no guy was as magical or even had a drop of magic close to Danny. And she was about to give up swiping right. And I can remember this day so clearly, and you'll actually see a photo of this day tomorrow. But it was a Sunday in March, and somehow the sun was shining in Seattle. So we went to the park and we sat outside for hours, and I asked her what was she truly looking for in a life partner. She listed everything from compassionate, loves sports more, if not as much as her, a dog guy, etc. And just like that, in this moment, a bumblebee landed on Danny's shoulder. I kid you not. And I took a photo of it, and we took that as a sign that she should try Bumble for just a little bit longer. So the next day, on a Monday, she swiped right on some random dude named Spencer Gray from Iowa.
No, wait. All those dating websites, you don't list your first and last name. And so I didn't know it was really Spencer Gray. I thought it was like he was making it up. And I'm like, wait, is your last name really Spencer Gray? And he was like, yes, it's really Gray. Okay, but go ahead.
And I did my due diligence of stalking him like crazy on social media. I did. We have the screenshots to prove it. And by the looks of it, I was like, okay, he's an okay guy. He seems pretty decent. And this is when I knew I really liked Spencer, because he was so bold and literally asked Danny on a date the very next day. And I loved that. He wasn't BSing around. He knew what he wanted, and he wasn't going to play any games. And that's exactly what I wanted for my girl. So that was the last time Danny would go on her first date. That was the last time she would ever swipe right. And from that moment on, Spencer proved every single one of those things that we had talked about on that waterfront was that he was truly meant to be Danny's life partner. And it was honestly pure magic. So my girl Danny finally found her match, and together I swear you two are more magnanimous than you are apart. Danny, you're my sister for life, and I could not be more excited for you to take this next step. And gosh, I'm sorry. You two both know how to make a winning team, and with you in state, I kid you not, you know how to have fun. You know how to cry through the hard times. You challenge each other, and you push each other to be your best selves. So, without further ado, here's to a magical adventure ahead, Mr. and Mrs. Gray tomorrow!
About a couple years ago, I was dating a guy that was not so good, and we can say that. And he broke my heart, and I was like, hey, I'm heartbroken, what do I do? And Christy just gave me some great advice, and like just sent me a couple books. Bob Luke, she sent me a couple books like you did, Dad, yes. And I read those books, and it was just about your self-worth and that you deserve the best and that you can get the best. And I have CD to look up to. I deserve the best. And fast forward 14, 15 years later, I call my dad from sleep, and I'm like, Dad, what is Chrissy Pickering up to? And he's like, who? And I'm like, Chrissy Pickering. Okay, so everybody knows Dad was on the IHL board with the Board of Institutions for Mississippi, right? The college board. Long story short, Christy was a board member with them. So would just have interactions with her in the club level at Bob Luke's box. Like, we would just have interactions. Didn't know you more than 30 minutes. Okay. And I said, hey, will you be my officiant? And she's like, what? And I'm like, yes. Will you be my Liza Minnelli and come and be center stage on my day? And she's like, I'm honored. Like, she kept asking CD, what? So randomly, I have an officiant from Gulfport, Mississippi, right? Biloxi, Mississippi? Biloxi, Mississippi. Accountant and a domestic violence survivor, Chrissy Pickering. Yes. Go, Chrissy.
Oh my gosh. Wow. Well, first, I love you, Danny. I love you, Spencer, and love you even more now that I've met you in person and not over Zoom for the last year preparing the wedding. But when Danny called me, she said, well, first CD called me. We were in Bay St. Louis just having a good Saturday, hanging out. And he said, I have to ask you something. I said, what? He said, well, Danny wants to know if you will officiate her wedding. And I went, well, I'm not a minister, I'm a CPA. And he said, well, she thinks you can figure it out. Turns out, 15 minutes, $35 online, you too can be a minister. But it was so sweet for her to say that. Yes, when Danny, so CD and I served together for 10 years on the board, and when I first sat down in the governor's office, I didn't even know what this was all about. I was like, what? College board? Anyway, I was sitting next to 3 guys and me. We were all going to be appointed to the college board, and I was sitting next to CD, and we started talking, and I just thought he was the coolest guy. So we, for years, just became really good friends. I knew all about his family, his wife, Linda, his kids, his grandkids. It was so great. But I cannot thank you both enough for allowing Brent and I to be a part of your special moment. It means so much to me. I hope I don't mess it up tomorrow. I won't.
No, you're not.
But I do have one quote that I'd like to share. To the world, you are one person. But to your person, you are their world.
Yes, oh my gosh.
So to you two, thank you so much. I love you. We love you so much. Thank you for letting us be here and a part of your day. Thank you. Really?
So I met Danny about 5 years ago. She was fresh into Seattle, was eager to do great work, which she did, and she had her little office. She made her presence known in her unique Danny ways. And so I knew of her. I wanted to make an impression, wanted to work with her. We had some common goals, trying to make things better for UW. So I waltz in after trying to determine a few commonalities, common ground, things we both have experienced. And in my very great demeanor, I tried to find common ground, and I mentioned we both worked for an individual, won't name him, a higher up in the athletic department. I didn't know him. I didn't know her relationship or like her thoughts on the guy. Turns out not that great. So I showed up thinking like, hey, great, we have this commonality. We'll get along great. This is the perfect start to a relationship. Danny, in her infinite grace, overlooked that. She saw the intention of what I was trying to do, not how I said it. We worked through that. We became great working mates, and for a couple of years, we did some great work together. About a year later, Spencer, you enter the frame here. At the time, my fiance and I lived in a nice building in Seattle. We had a rooftop. In the summers, it was magical. We would go up there, we would grill. I would occasionally under-grill the burgers, but that's neither here nor there.
Well, he's not from the South, he's from the Midwest, so he under-grilled. No,
Midwesterners can grill, I cannot. But at some point, Spencer, you showed up. You were left to your own devices. You were kind of thrown to the deep end. By himself. And you hit it off without a hitch. It was like we knew each other for years. I will say you had me at Big 12 football. As a long-suffering Kansas fan, I appreciate that you can appreciate how bad we are, so that is great. But for all of you who don't really know us, the last probably 3, 4, 5 years, you guys have been the most gracious couple. You have, at every occasion, invited us in, hosted, made our lives easier, made everyone's lives easier. Like the height of COVID, my 30th birthday, I make like an offhand comment to Danny about having a party. She has a full-on, like, choreographed thing to the nines, and it is spectacular, like making the most of a pretty not great time. Yeah, it was perfect, and that is, it's why I cherish you guys. It is, those are the moments that mean so much to myself, it means so much to Caitlin, and that's what I know we will value going forward. Like, you guys are truly generous people, and we are just excited to grow with you. So that is like the one thing I want to drive home to everyone. These are generous people. They are kind. They are willing to give of themselves, and I just want to raise a glass to that.
When I was in about the 3rd grade, I met Danielle at a local gymnastics and dance studio. And since there's about a 5-year age difference between us, Danielle was kind of like a mentor to me and like a bunch of the younger kids at the studio. So one spring break, my parents were in need of a babysitter to travel along with us to Walt Disney World. And having met Danielle a few times at the studio, they asked Danielle to go and help out with my 2 younger sisters and I, as well as our families. Let's see. Which Danielle readily agreed because it's Walt Disney World, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's magical.
And so after that trip, Danielle became my parents' go-to babysitter. And as time went on, a special bond was formed between her and my sisters and me and all of our families. From dance competitions, gym meets, and pageants to family vacations, soccer games, college, birthdays, weddings, and all of life's celebrations in between, whether big or small, she's been there for everything. And aside from just showing up,
She has been an advice giver, a teacher, a motivator, a helping guide, a loyal friend, and a loving sister. See, Danielle is just that steadfast person that's always been one of my biggest cheerleaders. And she's always been embedded in whatever will make me grow the most. And I could stand here and talk about all the happy memories we share and tell some very funny stories, trust me.
Yes.
But I wanted to share something a little different. Danielle's that person that's not just going to show up every time, not just going to offer up the best advice, not just going to be there willing to help. She's composed of much more than that. She is of the essential part. You see, every person that you meet in your life, you can pretty much place among the parts of a tree. Most people you meet are there at the beginning and may throw some shade a time or two. But as soon as there's a pivot in the season is felt and the wind begins to shift, they get carried away. These people are not supporting anything else except for themselves. These people are your takers. These people are your leaves. And then you got those that stick around a little longer, these that will make you think they're real strong with a solid frame. And after some time, you go and step out on them, but instead, they snap and break. And they leave you high and dry. And those people, they're tricky, but they're your branches. But then after some time, you discover these people that seem to take a while to find. That's because they're so grounded, they're deeply buried with intricate and complex pieces that make them up. These people, they play the most important part. They sustain the tree. They keep it alive and keep it growing. And these people, they're your roots.
All this room. Oh my gosh, look around. Look around this room. This cat, oh my gosh.
And that's what Danielle is. She's a root.
Oh gosh.
She's rooted in me. She's rooted in all of you.
Oh gosh.
She's rooted in all those she loves. Most importantly, though, she's rooted in Spencer. And everyone here tonight has seen over time.
Do not ugly cry.
Over time, everyone has seen those roots take hold and how much the both of you have grown together and radiate nothing but constant love. And so, Spencer and Danny, I tell you, a tree can have 100 million branches, but only a few roots at the bottom make sure it gets everything it needs to live. Both of you have found some mighty strong roots, so hold on to them. To Danny and Spencer.
I got one more, just kind of sprung it on him. My buddy from
Yes!
Seattle. We go a few years back coaching. Hopefully he doesn't tell when I was yelling at kids stories. Because I went from college football to like a high school with like really soft kids in my mind point. And I was like, suck it up. And like, you know, they're like, hold on, there's a guy telling me to like do it harder or something, like not just patting me on the back saying good job. I'm like, yeah, you suck. Like, let's go. Sorry, like we got to get better, guys. We're starting here, we got to get up. So hopefully Kyle's got something good, more mild. But yeah, I appreciate him and his lovely wife and their two beautiful daughters that they had during COVID. So.
You were going to say it?
Yeah.
Go for it.
Yeah.
No.
All right. Here we go, Kyle.
I love you so much. Gosh. You keep
So,
them
like Spence said, I spent a lot of time with him coaching and working in the same school, in the same classroom. And it was a pleasure to work with him. He truly cares about athletics and the kids and trying to make them the best that they can be. And I really drew a lot off of him for that. To kind of go off of the story that he was hoping that I wouldn't tell too much about. I won't get into details, but there were some words that were said, and I think every coach on the field at that moment, their jaw dropped, and it was like, crap, are we going to be okay after this, or what?
Did he say them?
What's that?
He said them?
He had some. It was just he kind of drew off of me because I got really upset, and then a couple minutes later he got
said 'em?
upset, and we were kind of tag teaming that one.
Okay. Were y'all winning or losing?
No, it was practice.
It was practice.
Hey,
It was definitely practice, and I'm pretty sure teachers inside the building with their windows open heard it too. So,
okay, go.
but we've spent many nights, weekends going over stuff, getting ready for games, and I really, really appreciated the time that we got to spend doing those things. That was fun for me, and we had a lot of same life paths.
Yeah.
And I truly value you. And Danny, I met you a little later, and you are a tremendous person. A little story about Danny. My father has had season tickets to the Huskies for over 30 years, and she found out about that and did something phenomenal. She got him down on the field for pregame, and that is a moment he will never forget. So thank you for that. So I was told to keep it nice, short, and sweet. So one last time, cheers to Danny and Spencer, please.
Before I hand it over to the person who's responsible for allowing all this to even happen, CD, because on my first date, like some of the people know with how we met, I cut to the chase real quick. I knew exactly the woman I wanted.
I don't remember that.
I didn't know if it was Danny the first time we met her or even the second time. But after that third time, pretty sure. And that was our trip to Portland. Yeah. So, but we've grown together in Seattle. We're building our own future. We're rent poor,
Yes.
but we're happy.
Yes. I love you, yes.
Yeah. We could buy 6 houses in Meridian right now with our rent.
Yes, but I love Seattle, y'all. I love
But instead,
it.
we live in a 3-bedroom, 1-bath with no air conditioning. So,
We don't have, oh, wait. It's not that we can't afford it. Tell them.
oh, yeah. Well, there is no air conditioning in Seattle, just to let you guys know.
Yeah.
But we
There's
want.
no AC in Seattle.
But I just want to take this moment and thank all my family. I want to thank my parents, Steve and Lisa, for putting this together tonight.
I love you, yes. Love y'all.
Thank my siblings.
Yes. My siblings.
And thank CD and Linda for letting me join the family.
Go Team Gray, is that all you can say?
That's about all I can get. You know what I'm saying? But I'm trying to get it all out now, so tomorrow I can actually talk if I have to.
Yes.
But thank you all. We're really, really blessed. Hopefully you guys got a snapshot of who we are everywhere we've gone. So we really appreciate it.
Yes, thank you all so much. We love you. Everybody in this room.
And we'll get this.
Okay, he's telling me cues in the mic. Brian, cut that. Okay? All right, next we're going to bring the man. I can't even. My daddy Warbucks, my everything, my twin. So y'all, you know initials are big for me. And I'm Courtney Danielle Smith, born and adopted. And I have realized that I'm 36 years old, and I'm so blessed, immensely blessed. Even you. Yes. Yes. I'm so blessed, and I would not know any of these individuals in this room if it wasn't for these two. I could have been somewhere else. Somewhere. I don't know. But anywho, I'm Courtney Danielle Smith, and I want to hand it over to C.D. Smith, Cornelius Drew Smith the second, or Junior. Junior. He's the third. Drew's the third. We all have CDS. Oh, this is a big thing in our family. Oh, okay, everybody. What are we naming our kids?
Oh, well, okay. So she wants to stick the theme with, because of CDS,
Mom, you.
with the initials, thanks to Linda keeping it going. We've started with, she's just like, I want to use your initials, Spencer. So our dog's got the same initials I have. Just to let you know how determined she is, like, we're doing this. And she's got a whole notes thing. This is probably about 6 months in the dating. I have all the S names, all the K names, and all the D, and then we know G. So,
yes, we know G.
So there's all sorts of stuff. So our dog's name is State for Iowa State, Mississippi State, and I used to coach college at Wayne State.
Let's go, State!
So that's how he got State. His middle name is Kicker. I kicked in college. She played soccer.
Coach. Yep. And Gray.
And then Gray. So that part got really easy.
SK Gray. But I'm handing it over to my heart and soul. I love the story, too. He opened up to us. Remember that day? Y'all, he got into it. It was really funny. I have to tell this story. We were talking about wine, and y'all know Washington is legal on some cannabis. And CD was like, I'm not there. And I'm like, okay, CD, well, tell me the story. Like, and he just went in and said, Danny, were you the one that came in a box? Your mom loved you. She said she loved you from the very beginning. This one right here. Said she loved you, and y'all were not ready to take me home. But this is the man that was like, oh, I will take her home and give her a palace. C.D. Smith. And he's like saying, all right, okay, Danny. He is. He's saying, all right, okay.
Okay, yeah.
Everybody wants to hear for CD.
So,
You have to talk loud.
okay.
And,
Spencer said talk loud.
and only like 3 minutes.
3 minutes.
What time
yeah.
are we at?
Okay, so let's just to clarify a few things. Louder. A few things, louder. So just to clarify, now Danny's being here, Danny's being a part of our family was all about her mama.
It was.
Now, let me tell you what happened. There was never any secret with how Drew and Danny became part of our family. They were newborn infants that we adopted. Now, they weren't connected at different times. So we adopted Drew, and that was the beginning of our family. And so a few years later, we got a call from an agency and said, we really need you to come over, and we have an infant baby girl we want you to come take a look at. So we went over it. It was in Jackson. And so I said, okay, the agency, this baby girl, said, okay, well, that's great. And what I said was, well, we'll go back to Meridian, and we'll think about it, and we'll let you know. What Linda said.
She does not say anything. Say it again, Samantha. Okay.
What Linda said when I made that comment, I'm not leaving this baby. So, Linda is why we have this child. Okay, so
Oh man. Sorry.
going back, we'll start with Tommy and his comments. Going back
Which
to
Tommy? Both Tommies. They've been a part of my life.
I'll
all
talk
my
about
life.
both Tommies,
Okay.
but anyway,
All my
with Tommy McClung.
Okay.
as we, his daughter, his son, they grew up with Danny and Drew, similar ages, and our families became pretty close. And of course, the soccer was something. And this one, what was really interesting about her is she was as fast as greased lightning when on the soccer field. And even in the early days, when they were just playing what we all know, if you're familiar with soccer, they were playing bunch ball.
It's not the same right
Bunch
now.
ball. And that meant that, these were under 6 kids. They just, all they knew is they had to try to somehow get the ball from one end of the field down to that thing, that net. And but what Danny figured out early on, and the word that was used to that Danny understood was tickle. So what that meant was, as everybody's bunching up trying to kick at the ball in this big bunch, Danny would just sort of tickle out and wait for the ball to pop out of the pile, and then she'd take it and take it to the other end of the field, and that's how she started. But of course, throughout her soccer career, whether it's rec or club soccer or even soccer at high school or in college, she was always pretty fast. And in fact, we had a guy who was recruiting at her high school, recruiting another kid, and there was this 8th grader that was up playing with the high school, Danny, and the guy that was there recruiting this young lady said, "Who is that?" As Danny,
I came from private school too.
yeah, but
like it was really
but anyway,
weird.
she was just a kid that was playing up from the
weird.
middle school, playing with the high school, and of course she got everybody's attention. And this coach all of a sudden kept coming back, even though the kid he was recruiting had graduated, and he kept coming back. Daryl Longabar was his name. He was a coach at Mississippi College, and Daryl recruited. He was at Danny's games at home, away, whatever.
Yes.
And so what he would do is, she played club soccer, and they played all over the Southeast. They played in Texas, Florida, Georgia, just a lot of different places playing club soccer. But somehow Daryl Longabar had convinced all the coaches at the schools in Mississippi anyway that Danny had committed to Mississippi College. He just had everybody convinced. And the problem was Danny had one question of Daryl.
Do they have dance?
Do you? And you all know Mississippi College is...
They don't have dance.
No. And Daryl's response was, "I think so." All right, that didn't work.
No, but y'all had a third, like it was
Well,
ridiculous.
anyway, so what she did, and this is going to tie into some comments that have been made. Danny decided to, and it was always clear that she, with her dance and gymnastics and all of that, that she could be on the Palm squad.
Yes, show me those spirit fingers, ladies. Let's go. Spirit fingers. Yes.
At Mississippi State.
Yes.
But she didn't go. She didn't even try out for the Palm squad. And the coach his name happened to be Daryl too.
It was Angela Jones.
But he it was aggravated with Danielle because she didn't go to tryouts, and she didn't go. And of course, Daryl had convinced everybody she was going to Mississippi College, and at one point maybe she thought she was going until Daryl said, "I think so," on the dance. So one thing led to another, and so Danny decided she wanted to go. She called a dance coach up at Mississippi State, and he clearly made it clear, "Well, you blew me off. So I don't know that I want to fool with you."
And then Angela Jones, my proxy bride, gave me a recommendation, which that's why we're all here today, is because of networking. Hold on, Dad. We network and we become close. And no, that's really where I am today, is because Angela Jones said, "Daryl, she's good as she's all good." Okay, but anywho, he's saying okay.
That
but
injected. Then
and y'all see why we're just alike. CD. Yes.
So Daryl told Danny, well, you blew me off, but if you need to come up today or tomorrow, whatever it was, and you need to come up and try out. And of course, here's Linda again.
Oh, she calls me from school and says, "Can you come check me out?" They did it the opposite way.
So she went up.
She came with a car full of gas. Like, it's really dramatic. Because it's not that way, y'all. Really fast. Hold on, Dad. Hold on. Really and truly, y'all, she came to me at Northeast High School and said, "Hey, Danny, you're checking out. You're going to Starkville, Mississippi. Angela Jones just vouched for you, and you're going to compete for Daryl, whatever his time. You have an interview for Mississippi State right now. The car is full of gas, and go." And that's how that happened. That was not a Danny thing. Go ahead.
Go ahead. Anyway, so she went up, and of course, there was no doubt that she was going to be on the team. And Daryl did say, well, you know, since you're a soccer player, why don't you touch base with the soccer coach at Mississippi State? And they made contact with Neil, and Neil made it clear, well, I've got my team pretty well set, and I don't have anything for you, and I don't need you. In essence, that's what he said.
But Dad had another plan.
But it wasn't Dad's plan. So what had happened was, so I'm in Meridian. I got a call from Daryl Longabar at Mississippi College. Tell me it ain't so. I just heard that your daughter's in the Mississippi State soccer coach's office right now. And I said, I don't know anything about that, and I didn't. I didn't know anything about it. But what had happened was he had started making some calls and found out that from the club soccer that they were playing all over the Southeast, that, oh yeah, you mean it's that Danielle Smith? That's the one we're talking about? But she's going to Mississippi College. Oh no, she's not. So then the coach came and found her and told her, you're on the team. Okay, so now, I'll go fast now.
Okay, go.
So,
I gave him 20 minutes, y'all.
no, she didn't. So you're on the team. That was great. And she played her freshman year, her sophomore year, and it was scheduled to be the team captain her junior year.
Rhonda.
Well, that coach called me and said, you're not going to believe what your daughter just told me. The coach, the Mississippi State soccer coach, said, your daughter said she doesn't want to play soccer anymore. And I said, well, why not? She told him, and clarifying something that was said earlier, she told him that the Division I training was making her calf and thigh muscles too big. And that's why she didn't want to play. And that was the beginning of what I didn't, I was unaware of, and that was this pageant stuff. And she became Miss MSU, Miss Mississippi State, and all of her soccer mates were there to cheer her on when she became Miss MSU. And that led to the first run at Miss Mississippi. Yeah.
I told you.
But anyway, so along the way, speaking of Miss Mississippi, and all these people at this table.
All these people.
The Dulaney's, the Lukes, and of course Ed and Rhonda Poole, and they were all co-conspirators.
Providers.
Yeah, but no, truly they were all engaged in everything that's been said about Danny. I think they each, now Rhonda Rhonda had a retail store. She sold women's apparel. And I got to do this.
Yes,
so they had what was called a trunk show up on the campus of Mississippi State. I went to the trunk show, and I saw these racks of clothes, and I thought, well, Rhonda must have brought just all of her inventory up here, and that Danny would just model some of this stuff. I later found out that those racks belonged to me. Yeah. So. And
I've had clothes changes this weekend.
Again, co-conspirator.
Yes.
And then, of course, Tommy McClung made reference to Still Magnolias.
Yes.
And of course, Tommy Delaney started very young, when they were very young kids. We went and shared and visited with Tommy about him sponsoring our little girls soccer team that Tommy referenced, Tommy McClung. And Tommy Delaney said, sure, he did. Sponsored us. We bought uniforms. And they wanted to come up with a great name for it, and it was Structure Steel Services is his company name, and they were there, as Tommy referred to earlier, the Steel Magnolias. That was the name of the team. We took a picture of that team and took it out and framed it and took it out to Tommy Delaney. And I don't know if it's still there, but for many years it was on the wall, and it's still at the, and that was way back. But also, now, again, co-conspirators.
On the website, just so you know.
Yeah. All right. Co-conspirators with this child.
Yes.
The Lukes.
The Lukes.
So, you know, Bob, good friend, and Kathy. But so.
You remember when we modeled? Yeah. Okay.
All I can tell you is he's somewhat of a surrogate father.
Yes, Daddy. Yes. He
Bob.
met this one.
And so, again, looking out for Danny,
Yes.
concerned about Danny, and some of those bad relationships that we all disagreed with, but and none of us wanted to push too hard because we didn't want to push her into it.
No.
But anyway, again, to all the comments that have been made about this person, Christy, these are all folk who saw in Danny a person that they could identify with, that they just felt like was part of family and gravitated to. And again, just thinking about everybody here that's had contact with Danny, and I don't know, you know, people have gravitated to her all of these years. Now, last comment, Spencer.
Okay. Yes.
Spencer.
The
And I'll shut up. So, Spencer came to Meridian, met him, checking him out. Okay.
Poor Spencer.
Yeah.
Poor Spencer.
And
Papa
you know,
Pope was on it.
So while he was in Meridian, no, I guess maybe we went to
We're in
ball
Starkville.
games.
Yeah, we're in
Starkville. And I'm checking him out again, you know, ball games, and listening to everything. Bob and I talked about it too.
Already.
And so, but you know, I didn't find anything that concerned me. And then so I went out to visit with them in Seattle. Stayed out there a few days. And I did. I looked, I listened. And Spencer and I went walking the dog. And so
He's here too right now, y'all. He's in the room.
Yeah, that's right. But we roamed the neighborhood, but we talked about all kinds of stuff. And it was just a lengthy walk, but it was, and again, I'm listening, trying to figure out, okay, is there anything I need to be concerned about? No. Then he and I went to the grocery store.
Yeah, and he saw prices.
Anyway, but again, watching Spencer look what he's buying, what he's doing, the conversation, and I couldn't find anything wrong with the store. I couldn't find anything that bothered me or that I thought was a red flag, and just thought, okay. And as you all have alluded to, it's clear. It was clear to me. It was clear to his parents that these guys have really found each other. And so met Spencer's parents
This
yesterday.
weekend. Yes, y'all. It's so awkward. Yes, it's. We lived in different countries, or not countries, states, and they just met. Yes, it's like kind of, or through COVID.
But I can tell you, we connected immediately, as what Christy said. So, and I think, and I'll just conclude this by saying, we're very, very happy
We're good, man.
for Spencer and Danny and the fact that our families and that family and
our family.
The Gray families and that side and the Smith families, but also the extended families of all the folk that have been a part of her life here. Yeah, like the Pickering.
Yes, or the people that came from Seattle, like our DC.
So, yeah, but with that said, and I'm thankful to the Steve and Lisa for coming here, being a part of this, bringing so many family members, and I just look forward to us trying to get through this ceremony tomorrow.
We're gonna get through it.
Without, you know.
Yes, Kleenex is a sponsor. Every time you hear love, bend your knees. Like it's so ushy gushy.
All right, but anyway, with that said, I'm again, Steve, Lisa, thank you, and I'll just say toast to Steve, Lisa, Linda, Danny, and Spencer, and everybody in this room. Thank y'all.
Let's go turn up. Okay.